Hello, I'm Rebecca Bradley. This is the Virtual Crime Book Club. Today is Monday, the 22nd of July, 2024, and we are meeting to discuss The Spy Coast by Tess Gerritsen, as you can see there. If you are watching this as a recording and not present in the meeting, there will be spoilers discussed. So if you plan on reading the book, you might want to read that before watching this. Yeah, I think that's everything I usually say. So, did everybody read it, or is somebody not quite at the end?
I've read it.
I read it.
Read
Yeah,
it, yeah.
finished. Marina, you've not finished it. Are you happy with spoilers? Are you sure? Okay. Okay, usual question first then. Did you enjoy the book?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Enjoyed it, but with some buts.
So you
It was
enjoyed,
very American,
right?
but it was a good book.
But you felt the Americanness of it.
I thought Jo was very American in her views of the way she took her job seriously and the way she regarded people coming to that small town and the way she looked at them. But on the whole, yes, it was very enjoyable. I thought Maggie was a great character.
Yes. What did people like about the book?
I like the action.
Did it have enough action for you?
Well, it's yes. I mean, it was a bit over the top, I would say. It's a bit too much. Old-fashioned action hero, spy, very cynical about the world, knows everything, everything's happened to them, that kind of things, but it still can be enjoyed.
Yeah,
it's a spy book, so I think it's part of it. No, it's always a bit, the spy books are always a bit over the top in terms of action and all this like conspiracy theories and things like that. But I enjoyed it.
I think they can't be real because I suspect spying is very tedious.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, as a retired police officer, we are quite cynical people. So I would suggest if you see more than we see on a global scale as a spy, then there would be that sense of being suspicious of everything that Muriel is saying came across. So I do think certain careers are probably can lead you down a certain personality path, to be honest.
And did you read that the book was based? This was an idea that she had because there were some people that were living in the village in Maine that were all spies. They were all used to work for CIA. So actually, I thought this was nice touch that there are these villages where retired spies just go and live a quiet life.
Yes, that was quite odd, wasn't it? All these spies ending up in one village.
But apparently it's true.
Yeah, it is true, is it, Vera?
Yeah, because there is the at the end of I'm reading it in Kindle, but at the end of the book, the writer, she says that this was inspired because in the little village where she lives in Maine, her husband is the GP. So when people went to register, they said that they used to work for the government, but they could not really reveal any details. And then she talked with other people. It's like very strange, all these old people, but they don't. And they said, yeah, but they all used to work for CIA. They just retired and now they live in the village. So that's why she had this idea.
Wow, you see, I listened to the audiobook and you don't get any author's note
Yeah.
at the end.
So it's the
It's so
author's note
frustrating.
at the end. I think in the book is at the end.
I went to a talk with Val McDermott and Tess Gerritsen beginning of the year, where she was obviously promoting this book, and you know, she told that story there. So I must admit, it was on my to be read pile, because it, you know, it just sounded so interesting. She was, I said, you know, like when they have dinner parties, you know, they can be a bit odd and things like that, you know.
I really enjoyed the book. I mean, I do think it's a bit unrealistic that those spies were all in the same town, because although she said at the back of the book that, you know, her village gave her the idea, I don't think they were all spies. I mean, they could have, you know, just been admin people. But I really enjoyed the book, and I also liked the locations as well. You know, traveling where she met her husband in Thailand, and then she went back. And then there was a bit in Paris and Italy. I enjoyed that as well.
Yeah. Some people were a bit on the fence about the Spy Coast. Go on then, Clark. What was it?
Well, I mean, actually, I'll have my two pennies worth about what I liked first. I actually quite liked the relationship between Maggie and Danny. You know, I was kind of rooting for them right to the end. You know, I was, you know, as far as I was concerned, he was going to turn up again, you know, alive, having survived sorry, Marina, having survived the plane, the crash. Yeah, I was rooting for them.
I did as well.
Totally, yeah. I thought it was quite sweet, actually, their relationship. You know, call me cynical, but I thought it was quite sweet. What was I less sure about? Well, I mean, just not my cup of tea, really. I mean, I thought it was quite sort of formulaic. I mean, I did like Maine, actually, and what was going on in Maine. In fact, I preferred that to what was going on in the past. And that was one of the things I didn't like. There was this huge amount of backstory. And actually, I guess if your main characters are retired CIA people, it's a pretty obvious thing to do, is have something from the past come to threaten them again. But you know, the threat was all in Maine, in a sense. You know, the backstory was just backstory. So the kind of dramatic threat was all in the present, and I just didn't think we got enough of that, really. I think that, you know, again, for me, it's just not quite my cup of tea. I thought it was quite sort of formulaic, quite glamorized. I mean, some of the other comments were about, well, that's what spy books are like. Well, I think it is, actually. I thought it was quite glamorized. All this sort of, oh, today we're in Bangkok, then we're flying to Milan. You know, and I also thought it was quite, you know, it was a bit formulaic, a bit sort of sanitized and glamorized. But yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I read it quite quickly. It entertained me. I have no problem with it. Will I read the next in the series? We'll doubt it. But yeah, I like my books to be more. I was trying to think about it, more depressing, maybe, you know, more grimy, you know, more.
You're not going to like next month then either, Clark.
Well, I thought it was quite cozy, actually. Is another word that came to mind when I was thinking about it. Yeah, I thought it was quite cozy.
It was almost like James Bond all over.
Cozy is not something that you
steroids.
Yeah, you don't associate cozy with spy fiction usually.
Well,
so
it's
yeah,
a new genre.
I guess because they're retired. Yeah.
Well, Richard
was kind of like
has cozy. Oh, they're not spies, are they? No, but they are elderly.
Well,
like
one is a
Thursday
retired
Club.
spy. Yeah.
Elizabeth, right, in the Thursday Club. Yeah, it reminds me of that. But Thursday Club is probably more funny. The characters are funnier. But this is enjoyable. But I agree, it's like a cozy spy thriller.
One of the things I liked about it was the beginning. You know, it starts with this.
Diana.
But it starts with Diana, and you start with that. You always sort of think the book's going to start with the goodie, if you like. So finding out only later that, you know, she isn't as good as you think to begin with. You know, I thought that was an interesting way to introduce the book.
Yes, because you don't really know what's happening, do you, at the beginning? No. She doesn't give anything away, just that she's got to go.
But I thought her thoughts were very materialistic. It it was all about her belongings that she missed. There was nothing about the human contacts that she may have created in a new life and any of that. It was all, she's going to have to abandon her house and that beautiful collection of paintings and things. They're quite mercenary.
Her Chagall that she left
Yes.
behind. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
How many retired CIA operatives can afford a Chagall?
Chagall.
I knew from page
that
3
was because she had stolen all the money.
Yeah.
But she embezzled, so she stole all the money.
Yeah.
So she could own lots of
Yeah.
nice things.
So she was materialistic from the start,
Yeah.
wasn't she?
But,
Go on, sorry.
no, there was another aspect also that I felt that the main character would keep going on about is how people were old, you know, not the young ones they used to be, but old. There's constantly this thing about how they used to be and how they are now, but there's nothing wrong with being old. You age, and okay, you haven't got the same elasticity in your body, but they don't need it. So I thought there was too much emphasis on how they loved to be young and they loved youth and not being old.
She made a good observation when she went out that she was invisible because of her age and her grey hair. Do you agree that society, this is what happens in society, because we are an older book group, there are a couple of younger faces in here, but generally we are a little bit older. Do you think this is how society views us, that we're invisible now?
But that's actually what is better for spying. It's better to be invisible and blend in, right? So
I think it's a sort of, I think the invisibility thing is a two-way sort of thing, in that as you get older, you know, I feel I have no inclination to go to a music festival or anywhere where you would be very obviously seen by younger people. I'm quite happy doing the things I enjoy, which isn't necessarily bringing you into the path of a lot of younger people in any case. So
I think she was walking around a town or something, wasn't she? Which is where you would get a mix of age groups.
But I'm pretty sure when she was a young spy, she was also invisible because she was a spy.
Hallo.
So,
Hi. Also Opa und Oma sitzen gerade im Krankenwagen Richtung Krankenhaus. Ich fahre im Auto gerade hinterher.
Ach ja, das ist lieb
Die
von
wollten
dir.
ihn einfach lieber mal mitnehmen, weil Opa auch ziemlich schwindelig ist von den Tabletten jetzt. Er hat schon einmal nur bei ihm genommen, es wirkt kein bisschen.
anyone speak German?
Und er hat auch direkt nachgefragt, weil er
She's not talking to the group, is she?
No,
I think
look,
she's
it's
had
a phone call
message
received.
about.
She needs to put her mute on.
I've muted her for a minute. I've muted her for a minute. I hope nobody watches this video and understands whatever she's saying. I hope it's not private.
It's private.
So the age thing, did you connect with it at all, or did everybody else feel it was a bit overdone?
Well, I thought it was overdone, but
no, but I think she was a spy, so she was used to have all these physical abilities, everything. She would be on her like top shape, and then suddenly she's old. And
I suppose she was also thinking about the past a lot, wasn't she? She kept thinking about her relationship with Danny when she was younger, so that's part of the reason maybe she kept, you know, referring to age as well.
Yeah, I think it was losing Danny that did it for her.
And talking of Danny, we got introduced to him little by little. There was just this random meeting in Bangkok market at a food stall. Were you second guessing who he was going to be in this story, or did you just follow it naturally? I know I was second guessing and wondering whether he was going to be a foreign spy trying to get into her life. Did anybody else do that?
I had a
bit
of a thought, yeah. But he was too much of a bumbling, you know, not knowing what he was doing. It was a bit too much to be somebody pretending. I thought he was genuine.
I don't know. I thought the T-shirt that said "stupid tourist" in
ties.
Would have been a good touch if he was trying to make her think that's who he was. Just me having a suspicious mind, I imagine.
Yep.
No, it's the same to me. I mean, at one point, you know, the bit in the restaurant when he saved that man's life. At one point, I even wondered whether that was done on purpose, you know, to get him into that private medical company. So yeah, I agree. I was second guessing a bit.
Yeah, I did too. But I thought it's a bit dramatic to have somebody cut your throat open just to see if you can lure him in or lure her in. Yeah, I did question that, but then thought it's a bit of a dramatic way to go about it.
This is a whole book, isn't it? Everything is a bit dramatic, little details like that.
Yeah, yeah. But it did have me questioning because it was drip fed, I think. How did people connect? Did you connect well with the two timelines, or would you have preferred a single timeline?
I liked it the way it was. It gave it a bit more interest to the story because you were guessing.
Yeah, I agree with Clark. I think there was such a lot of backstory. I think it made the pacing a bit uneven. As Clark said, most of the action most of the danger and suspense actually comes from the scenes in Maine.
And most of the backstory is about, sorry, Melanie, most of the backstory is about developing their relationship as well, not about the narrative.
Yeah. So it kind of interrupts that suspense and breaks that tension, I felt.
Yeah,
I like the backstories.
You did.
So I really enjoyed the backstories. I love backstories. I love dual times, and I like to have lots of background on the characters. So I like that. I think maybe the romance part could have been less. They could have. Yeah, I agree. There was lots of things about her and Danny, but I do like background, and I like to go back and understand why some things are happening. So I do love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to what was said earlier about Purity, the town she was in Maine, and the spy group. If you could create your own new life, where would you go and what would you do? I got this question off Tess Gerritsen. Actually has a book club question set on her website, and I got that question from there. So I will own up to that. It's not mine.
Well, certainly not in a town where there would be lots of other retired spies. You try to get as far away from that life as possible. So I find that surprising, and that there is a real life village or town like that.
Unless they feel that they are the only people that properly
understand each other. Yeah.
They may also have been real friends.
Yeah, because they were friends from the training camp. So I think it makes sense for you to look for some friends with whom you can share some things from your past.
You see, I didn't find that very plausible. Sorry.
Okay, but nothing is really plausible. It's not really. I don't think we should look for very plausible things.
I have actually known some spies, not in my family, but my family has known some spies, and and also their work is really boring. It's mostly online nowadays, so.
But in connection to this story, I mean, Maggie didn't have any friends, did she? So that's probably, part of the reason that she went to live in Maine, because they were the only friends that she had. She didn't have any family.
Well, and also in the book, they skip over that interim from the time that Danny dies until she comes to Maine. So the author held that back, I assume, because it's going to be part of the next book or whatever. But I wondered what was happening to her in that time. So there didn't seem like there was a lot of character development, that she had, what was it, 16 years or at least, to think about Danny's death and to start a new life, because that's when she left the CIA. So, and then I think at the end it talks about she'd lived in Mexico and she'd lived in different places. But it really, I don't know, that part I didn't like. That there was such a gap in her backstory.
I think, excuse me, I think you're probably right that there may be something be explained in the future book, because it looks like it's going to be a series. But yes, there was a gap.
So excuse me for joining in here.
Oh no, jump in.
Hi, hi. I'm actually sitting in bed because it's just after 7 in the morning here in Wellington in New Zealand. So excuse me for looking like this, but I've just woken up.
You look fabulous, and thank you for joining at 7:30 in the morning.
Well, thank you. I'm intrigued. I really enjoyed the book. I'm intrigued that people didn't enjoy it. I loved the backstory, and of course when we got to the author's note and we found that she lived in a place in a little village, small town, where there was CIA, ex-CIA people, it suddenly all made sense to me. So yeah, so I really liked the story.
Yeah, I did actually.
I think it was a good story if you just took it as a good yarn type one.
Yeah.
It wasn't one to make you think or to puzzle out or anything. You know, I think you just accepted it and enjoyed the reading of it.
I don't know. I was very suspicious of everybody.
Yeah, that comes from being crime readers.
Yes, definitely.
Well, it was about spies in the end, and you were right to be suspicious of everyone, really, because any one of them could have been turned.
At what state were you guessing? Let me get this straight. Somebody has already said that, I think it was Clark, that the current day story didn't take up a lot of the book, but with the weaving in of the history timeline, did anybody start to try and wonder who was behind killing I can't remember the woman's name. She was just like there and then she was dead.
Oh, that was
Diana.
Yeah,
Diana.
No, Diana
it wasn't.
She saw
that was
Bianca. I know who you mean. The girl at the
Bianca. Yeah.
Bianca. She was CIA.
Yeah.
She was looking for Diana. So, with all the backstory, did you remember that actually we were trying to solve a murder?
Yes.
Yeah, what happened to that?
That's what happened
to that. Did they actually solve that?
Unresolved.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm not sure who murdered Bianca
Wasn't
now.
it Diana?
I think it was the person that murdered that she met at the end. She was after killing everybody that was involved.
Yeah, that was Bella.
Bella.
Or Bella's.
Bella.
Bella. Sorry, Marina's not finished it.
No spoilers required if you're not even sure who done it.
It was Bella.
It was Bella.
It was the guys that were working for Bella. So everything was done by the guys that were working for Bella. But I don't think the murder was that important at the end to Bianca's murder. She was just collateral.
Well, you forgot about her, didn't you? You just forgot she'd been dead on the driveway.
I suspected it was her. Actually,
Who sent her?
No, she was really working for the CIA.
From the CIA, but was that ever actually confirmed, or where did she actually?
I think we just have to presume it's true because she just had this tiny part and ended up on the driveway dead. I think we just presume what she said was true.
What happened to the detective as well who was investigating that? Where did he go?
The who? Sorry, Mel?
Alford.
Detective. What happened to him? The detective, like he was
From
supposedly
the-
taking over from Joe Thibodeau. Where did he go? I've kind of lost track of what happened to him as well.
He left. Nothing happened. He'll be in the next one.
The state policeman, and I kept on hoping he would come back and he and Joe would hook up, kind of opposite. Because so I was really disappointed at the end when Joe goes and has breakfast with her dad, and she's thinking about, you know, he's going to leave her his house and his new induction stove, and you know, she's thinking about there really isn't anybody here to, you know, hook up with. So I was disappointed he just kind of disappeared. So maybe he'll come back.
I think she can do better. Joe can do better.
He didn't like. He was too looked down at her, didn't he?
Yeah, he was an idiot. Joe can do better. She'll do better in the next book.
Yes. How did you feel about Danny's fate? Because I think we all fell in love with Danny a little bit, as much as Maggie did. Even Clark did.
I kept hoping it would turn out he was working for MI5 or something, was still alive.
Yeah, and that was sad when you found out that. Well, I was sad that I found out he was never coming back. But talking.
Hi, Marina. Sorry.
She's got a chance with the other guy, though, hasn't she? Her friend with the dark hair, who's still attractive, according to the writer.
Yes, the other
Derek,
old spy.
I've forgotten his name.
Was that
And
Derek?
we haven't really mentioned the girl that was kidnapped, have we?
The girl that was kidnapped.
The neighbour's daughter.
Callie.
Yes,
Kelly.
the neighbour's
Right,
daughter.
Kelly.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
There's that incident as well that happened.
I did find some of the plotting a bit weird. You know what? You know, I suppose Bella's going around killing people. What, because it was the Russians who blew up the plane, or was it because it was Diane who kind of? I mean, I couldn't quite work out.
No, Diana had blown
motivation.
up. Oh no, the Russians blew up the plane, but
She
Diana let them know.
Exactly. Maybe she's already wiped out the Russian Secret Service and is now working her way to the retired CIA.
Yes.
No, because I think Bella was trying to figure out who stole her money, her dad's money.
Yeah.
Because Diana had this intention to steal the money because she had the pen drive with all the passwords. So then she plotted and she let the Russians do whatever they wanted. So they killed the guys. And I think Bella was looking for revenge, but also who stole her money. So she went into this killing spree.
Yes. Did
totally justifiable.
Totally. Did anybody feel sorry for her when she was 14?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Growing up in the household she was growing up in.
Well, she was.
Neither parent seemed to be interested in her as a person.
I thought it was very extreme the way they were so negligent of her. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's the way some people are, but surely you look at your daughter in a different way, especially when you see her struggling.
You would hope so, but it doesn't always work like that, does it?
I think it was, you know, she was very much the victim of divorced parents who both wanted, I've forgotten her name, Bella, to be what they wanted Bella to be, rather than actually looking at who she was
and what she wanted.
I think a lot of it would have been because I'm a better parent than you sort of idea.
Yeah, but her mother didn't care much about her because her mother was beautiful and she could see that thing that she gave birth to was not her in her image at all.
Yeah, but as a 14-year-old, I could imagine you've overheard something at some, you know, her mother sort of saying, look, you know, you need to watch what you're eating or something. And you can blow that out. A 14-year-old could blow that up into anything, you know.
Her mother did try and get full custody, didn't she? And then at the end, she did fight the husband, and you know, she made sure Bella wasn't on the plane. So, yeah.
Yeah, she did care for her. They did become, didn't she?
Yeah.
And she didn't start her killing spree until after her mother died.
No, no. Did anybody guess that it was going to be Bella before she appeared with the gun?
Yeah.
No,
I did.
No,
Yeah,
I thought
did.
it was going to be her father had managed to, you know, still be alive somehow, and it was him.
I thought her
that's
father
what I
would.
thought as well. And
Sure,
if he
sure.
was alive, perhaps Danny was alive. This is where my thoughts was going.
I thought she was on a short list of her father, and Danny.
No, I thought I did guess Bella about 2/3 of the way through, because she was intelligent, and you know, her father kept you know, making her remember codes and was actually teaching her the business a little bit. So about 2/3 of the way through, I kind of thought it's more likely to be her.
I also thought it would be her.
When I got
Her
near
or
the end,
Danny.
I knew it was Bella because the second to last chapter was called Bella. Just happened to
Simple as that.
I was happened to notice it. That's all.
If anything's going to tell you, it's the chapter heading.
But I thought that was another stereotype of you know, the who done it is the person the least expected to be the one, because she was obviously dead in the accident, but there's nothing, no one saying about what happened apart from her mother crying like a drama queen at her funeral, and I thought that was so obviously not what was happening. Well, to me, Bella wasn't dead. She was going to come back with a revenge. I don't know.
You didn't like this book, did you, Muriel?
Oh, it was fun to read, but it's so cliche. Sorry, I felt it was too cliche.
No, that's fine. We all like different books, and we connect with different styles differently. We have preferences, don't we?
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was Cyrano or somebody connected with the Cyrano character. And so I was blindsided by that. And I think that the author did do a lot of bait and switch, so that there was so much action and so many different things happening. I didn't like at the end where Maggie flies to Thailand, then flies to Milan, then flies to London to get back to Maine. And I was thinking, that's a lot of, and it was hard to distinguish the time period there. It seemed like in a very short period of time she did that. And so
you just mentioned something that I completely forgot about, and that's Cyrano. Cyrano was like this big shadowy character, but we never found out who he or she was.
No, we did. Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
it was just
Tory
someone
MP.
that we didn't know him, so he wasn't.
Oh, it was just somebody.
He wasn't a character.
He was on the boat. He was a Tory MP.
He wasn't a character in the book. It was just someone.
That
I thought it was Danny at one point.
Sentences, like, this is who Cyrano is, and we raided the boat.
And the drugs weren't for Cyrano; they were for, it was his girlfriend or
his wife.
Yeah, or
his wife.
Whatever. And it was. I know, and all of that happened in just a few sentences. So if you weren't paying attention, it was. And I had just forgotten about it. What happened? Oh yeah, it was him.
Yes, yeah. I did read it, but I forgot about it.
There were lots of things that were not important, like Bianca the murder wasn't important, and also Cyrano at the end, it wasn't important who he was, because he wasn't really a character. It was just
an idea.
Yes, it was really about Maggie and the family, Bella's family. They were the two important links, weren't they? And obviously her history with Danny, how she got to them. The police officer, Jo Thibodeau, do you think she's going to be an ally of the old club spies?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yes, I think so.
You don't think she's going to give them a hard time now in future?
I think going forward, she needs to be part of the group, because it's going to be quite difficult for the author to create a plot. You know, she's already done the threat from the past. She needs, you know, contemporary threats, and that probably needs some sort of police element to do that. So I think she's an important part of the kind of narrative going forward, I'm guessing.
But she did look like an important character, I thought, personally. Although she didn't have much of a role this time. But there was a lot of potential.
She's a small town cop, so at
but
the
she's
end,
intelligent.
Yeah, I know. That's why at the end she'll try to solve. She would like to solve crimes and to do more than what she does now. So I'm pretty sure that she'll rely on these ex-spies to help her.
Yeah,
and
even if she doesn't want to.
Sorry, Judith, what was that?
Sorry, and the author has left lots of room for her character, for Jo's character, to be built upon. We just, in this story, while she plays a part, she's just a minor person in this story, to my thinking. So, but why is she even in the story? Why is she in the story to the extent that she is? And my feeling is that there's obviously going to be another story, either. And I would think that the next novel, the next thing, will be concentrating on Jo, because there is so much that could be said about Jo. My thought is 7 o'clock in the morning, who knows what.
No, I agree. I think she was introduced in this one, and because it's going to be a series, she's likely to, you're just going to bring the characters out more, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's a whole series, and like every member of this group can have a backstory as well. You know, it's not just Jo.
It does make me wonder where the stories are going to go, though. I mean, you know, what can keep happening in Maine that can make a lot more stories? So it'll be interesting to see how she develops.
I think Maggie, I think Lorna's right, though, because this isn't called the Maggie series. It's called the Martini Club. So it's actually about the group.
The group,
The group, yes.
But they still need to solve crimes of some sort. So that's my interest more, where the kind of crimes are going to come from. And I hope it doesn't end up more like a Richard Osman book, because I really don't like that Thursday Murders. Well, I think this book's a lot much more better. So hopefully it won't become like that.
Well, the next book is The Summer Guests, and it's due out in 2025.
Yes, I just saw that it was available for pre-order even this early.
So what's it about then?
I don't think there is a blurb yet.
All right.
It's just up there. If you've read the first one,
up there.
The second one.
But I think Bella is still in the game, because they said that she might think of changing her mind. And so we don't know what will happen. She might come back.
I think that's a very good point. She didn't just, there wasn't a proper, the book had an ending, but for her it was like, okay, she's gone back to where she's been hiding, but she's still free to come back out whenever she wants. So yeah, that's a very good point, that there are so many characters that's in the Spy Coast that she can play with for future books.
There is a blurb on the next book.
Is there? Go on.
Basically, it says Jo and her neighborhood ex-spies have an uneasy alliance. After a teenager vanishes and Maggie's neighbor becomes the prime suspect, she joins the investigation, determined to prove her friend's innocence. So the neighbor plays a big part again, doesn't he?
Luther.
Yes, that's it.
Oh, interesting. So, did anybody enjoy this book enough that they will read the next one?
Yes.
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 I do, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I did before Dawn read the blurb out, but I'm not keen now that you've read the blurb about the disappearance. We've already had the disappearance of a teenager.
It's because Luther also had a very shady, a very strange past, because he was a professor, then suddenly he was there growing chickens and cows and whatever. So yeah, there is also...
I do feel in this first book we were getting to learn about the characters and know the characters, and they be developed more in the second book. That's the way I feel.
What I wondered about is the Luther retired suddenly from his MIT professorship 16 years ago. And it was 16 years ago that all of the events took place with Danny and Hardwick. And so I was wondering if there was some connection that we don't know about.
I didn't realize
it would be really ironic. Because, you know, yeah. So, yeah, I wondered about that. I also wondered why it was called the Martini Club, because they did have martinis once or twice, but they really had a lot of single malt.
They did.
I thought it should have been the single malt club.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if the story of Declan and Maggie would be revealed more, how they interconnected in the past. So I was wondering if she would give us more hints in the next story about this.
Ladies, I have to say, sorry, Rebecca, I have to say, I have to get up and start my day. So thank you very much for letting me be part of this. But joining. It's now like 7:30.
Thank you for joining us.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. See you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. I tell you who I did like out of the old spies was the couple Lloyd and Ingrid. I would like to see more of those two working together, because the way they just went up to Joe and went, yes, we know what those tire tracks are, and this, and this, and Joe's just sort of saying, what?
That was brilliant bit, actually.
Yeah, I did like those. So yeah, I would probably pick up the next. In fact, I will pick up the next one when next year. I did enjoy it. So overall, it's a fairly positive read with some vagueness thrown in for just bits and bobs. Does anybody else have anything else? Oh, just my last question is always, were you satisfied by the ending?
Yeah, not keen on Osaka, but you know, it's okay.
I expected it to end that way, that Bella wouldn't kill her, and yeah.
Good. Does anybody else have anything they want to say before we finish? Okay, right, I will turn this off.